Hey, it's Tom, and today we're going to talk about useEffect, a very popular React hook that allows us to create side effects in function components. So let's jump to the code. Okay, right here we have a very simple component that uses already useState hook. If you don't know how useState is working, there should be a link somewhere here, so you can check before going further with this video. So this is very simple component that has two buttons and tracks two states. And let's, for example, imagine that every time we update our states, we would like to update maybe the title of our document. So it's definitely a side effect of changing our state. So to use that, we can use useEffect, and let me show you how we can do that. So right here we will create a useEffect, and then we provide an arrow function, and within this function we can document title. We can set the title of our document to you clicked count 1 times. Okay. So as you see, when we re-render, even at first run, the document title was updated. So why this really happens? Our useEffect is a side effect that is executed in this form every time the component gets re-rendered, and also after the first render of the component. So basically it's working like a combined component did mount and component did update. If you are familiar with the component lifecycle methods from React classes. So this is exactly how it's working. And as you see, when we press our count button, we see that the state is being updated, the DOM is being updated, and then with a very small delay, we update the title of the document. So let's do it maybe once again. Yeah. Why this really happens? Because side effects caused by useEffect are being executed just after the DOM is being updated. So React makes sure that useEffect is not blocking our UI. That's why app looks and works more responsive. If you are familiar with class components, component did mount and component did update methods were able to block the DOM update, and in this form, useEffect doesn't block UI. That's why we have a slight delay. So we can make sure that the DOM is being updated. That's the most important thing for a user. And then we execute our function. So what we really provide to useEffect is a function that has to be executed after the DOM is being updated. So what's really important also is to, as in case of any hooks, is to not put hooks in any loop, in any conditional structures, and into any JavaScript functions. Just put them in the root of your component, in React component functions, and the execution is also ordered. So if we have two side effects, two useEffects, this one will be executed first, and this one will be executed as a second. I'm not quite sure if we will be able to notice that. No, it's happening so fast that you won't notice switch between count 1 and count 2. But as you see, it definitely happens. If we change the order of them, so at first we will be updating the document title to be equal to the count 2 and then to count 1, then we see that the second one is overriding the first one. So this is the very basic version of useEffect, and definitely it's not everything you should know about this. So right now, let's switch to the second part. So sometimes, okay, we can leave it as it is right now. So sometimes you have many states within the component, and it's not really important for you to execute the effect every time the component gets re-rendered, because that may slow down your app. And the second reason is that sometimes you just don't really need that. So useEffect allows us to provide a second optional component, and this is the array of dependencies. So this array of dependencies lets know the useEffect when it should execute. So this is the array of variables, constants. Variables, constants don't change. Variables that if they change, React will notice that and then will run this effect. So right here, when we leave this array to be empty, this is exactly how component didMount would work in this case, because there is no dependency, and this effect will kick only once, will be executed only once, even though we update each of those functions many times. This will be executed only once because it's not depending on any variable. But if we want to base on the count1, we should really put only count1 here, and this effect will be executed only, we can use console log, if the count1 will change. So okay, we can do something like this, and yeah, we can inspect, go to console. As you see, at our first re-render, the useEffect was executed, and if we press count2, the component gets re-rendered, but the useEffect doesn't execute because count1 didn't change. So there's no reason to update document title. This is how we can fix the performance of our app. But if only we will press the increment count1, then it executes, and as you see, console is logging the execution of this side effect. So this is a very important thing to remember and to understand. And there's also another very important thing to remember. So sometimes in the side effect, you are executing a function or a logic that needs to clean up when it's when we unmount our component or when we re-render our component. So useEffect allows us to return a function that will be our cleanup function. So we can return even empty, even arrow function that will do something. So like clean up. So sometimes, for example, when we subscribe to some chat service like Firebase, we want to unsubscribe when we are releasing the component or when we are re-rendering that once again. And right here, we return a function from this effect that will be executed every time the useEffect will be going to re-render to be executed once again. So right now, as you see, the component get re-rendered, and before the next useEffect was run, then the cleanup was executed. So in this case, we could right here subscribe to some chat provider and then unsubscribe. Maybe that's not the best case to show that, but we can imagine something like this. So this would work exactly as component did mount, and in component did mount we would execute this, and when the component will be going to be unmounted, this line will be executed. So we could subscribe, for example, to Firebase and then unsubscribe when the component would go to unmount. And to maybe make sure you are aware how it's working, we can even do some simple proof. So we can add a dependency for count2. Okay, so count2, we click count1. Okay, so this one was executed as a second one because they are executed in an order, and if we press this, only the first effect is being executed, and if we press that, only the first one is being executed. So yes, I strongly believe that you already know how useEffect is working, and that's all I prepared for you in this tutorial. Thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye!